physical care, and mental well-being. So that's not enough. All of her programs are also offered online, so anyone can attend from the comfort of their own home. It's very important to Tammy to lead a healthy life surrounded by positive-minded friends and family. She herself is one of the most positive people you will meet. She always has a smile on her face and a kind word for everyone. Tammy is also active in the community, having been a part of other groups such as Resilient Women in Business, Connect Now, the Mission Chamber of Commerce, and Heartlink. In her personal life, Tammy enjoys spending time with her husband and children. Her interests include health and wellness and the outdoors, where she enjoys hiking, kayaking, glamping, and paddleboarding. Tammy feels that joining the BNI Thrive group has been a blessing on a deeper level than just business. She has experienced real connections and friendships with positive, like-minded people in this lovely group, which she feels is priceless. Next, let's hear from Tammy so that we can send her some business.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my Happy Hips Living Pain-Free workshop. My name is Tammy Norman, and I've worked in the health and wellness industry for coming on to 2 decades now, not quite there, but almost, in fitness, boot camps, and medical aesthetics. I'd like to talk to you guys today about your hips. Did you know that 26.8% of people between the age of 55 and 64 will need a hip replacement? And also that we have over 22 muscles that contribute to our hip mobility, our strength, and our flexibility. When I was in my early 30s, I was told by a personal trainer during a consultation that, wow, your hips are really tight. And I didn't pay any heed to that at that time, and I certainly wish that I had. Then fast forward 2 cesareans, a fibroid issue that led to a hysterectomy, and scar tissue, which left me very sore from inactivity and the scar tissue. I felt like the Tin Man getting up every morning with so much pain that it would literally bring me to tears. And that was just a few years back. So today I'd like to explore what affects our hip health and how to open your hips and make the area more flexible and also stronger so that we can lead our daily lives in a pain-free manner. So your hips are defined as the area where your femur or your leg meets your pelvis area. Our hips are designed to hold a lot of load, and using the first joint rule, which is the joint that moves first bears the most load, we need to hinge at our hips for proper movement into squats as well as into your forward folds in order to stay pain-free. And otherwise, we can put undue pressure into our lower back or downstream into our knees. Our hip contains the strongest ligament in the body, the iliofemoral ligament, which connects the pelvis to our leg bone. Over time, this hardens and locks up due to lack of use or inactivity and lack of full range of motion, which causes us to struggle with our squats and our lateral rotation. So our hips are involved in a lot of different movements. We've got flexion, which we're sitting all day. This is the flexion movement. We've got extension. We've got lateral and medial rotation. We've got circumduction. We've got adduction, where we bend our knees inward. And then we've got abduction, where we bring them out. We must keep life and lubricate this ligament by movement, dancer's circles in order to keep fluid into that hip joint. And of course, staying hydrated by drinking plenty of water, eating a lot of water-based foods, so like your vegetables, eating anti-inflammatory diets such as avocados, pineapple, and ginger, and taking some supplements like MSM and our omega-3s. If our hip ligament is dry or damaged, or our muscles are too tight, this can decrease the range of motion of our hips and cause pain or even increase our risk of injury. So there's over 22 muscles involved in your hip movements, but we've got 4 major muscle groups. So I'll get you guys to palpate your body as I go through these muscles. So we've got our glute group. So I'll get you guys to reach around, feel around back there. We've got our adductor group. So in the inner parts of our thighs are involved in our hip movement. We've got our iliopsoas group. This is the most interesting muscle. This is the only muscle in the body that connects the upper body to our lower body. So on our lower back, this iliopsoas muscle attaches to our lumbar spine, reaches across our pelvis, and attaches right into our femur. And then we've got our lateral rotator group, which is underneath your glute muscle, our deep six muscles, and many more, including your hamstrings, as well as your quad muscles. So why does this matter? For me in particular, after my surgeries, I couldn't bend down to feed my little Susie. I couldn't reach down to pick up her bowl without being brought to tears. And then getting out of bed in the morning, I was in extreme pain. To go to the washroom was excruciating, just absolutely excruciating. Our modern lifestyles and careers often lead to a lot of sitting, desk jobs, coming home and Netflix and chill. So our hip flexors become tight and shortened from being in this position for too long. And then with aging, we're less active as well. So this can lead to hip inflexibility and reduced range of motion, and of course, pain. So I want to talk about yoga to help treat hip issues. So we've got different poses that can help us strengthen our hips. So the tree pose would be one. This pose helps strengthen your glutes and your deep six muscles. We've got a bridge pose, which you guys are probably familiar with. So squeezing those glutes up, building the glute muscles, which are helpful for our hips. But for true flexibility, we need time under passive tension. And these are some yoga poses that you can hold for 2 to 5 minutes using a timer. So for any of you that would like to participate, you can stand with me, grab a chair, you can hold on to the back of your chair. So these you can do from the office. And again, a stable chair, not a rolly one, right? So standing, and if you don't want to participate, that is completely fine as well. You can just watch. So standing with your feet about hip distance apart, place your hand on that chair. We're going to take our right foot, take it up on top of our left knee, and then we'll turn to face the chair. With your hands on the top of that chair, we're going to bend our left knee and sit down on an imaginary chair, sitting on the imaginary chair. So just here like this is getting into our deep six muscles, in our glute, all along the right side of our leg. And then of course we can do the other side. Another pose that you guys can do at work or at home is a butterfly pose. So I would do it on my chair, except for my little pooch is on the chair. You can do it at your chair at work or sitting on the floor, taking the bottoms of your feet together. Inhale your arms up and then reaching your chest forward, grabbing those feet and allowing your knees to splay out to the side. So I do challenge you to do it on a chair. It's a little more challenging on the chair. Our takeaway from this is that our hip joint is a complex joint. We must lengthen over 22 muscles to increase its mobility. And then we must also strengthen the 22 muscles involved in hip movement. A lot of us do have weak glutes. So I encourage you all to work on the glute area. Deep hip stretches can positively affect our lower back, our knees, and even our ankles. So take care with your form. A variety of time under passive tension yoga poses are needed to open your hips. 2 to 5 minutes is your sweet spot. Time yourself and watch your progress. Hydrate your soft tissues by drinking lots of water and reduce inflammation through movement, yoga, diet, water, veggies, avocados, and supplementation, those omega-3s and MSM. In just 15 minutes a day of time under passive tension, yoga flexibility holds can significantly improve your hip mobility and maybe just help prevent a hip replacement. Daily practice is a must. Living pain-free is possible, and you might just find that you gain more flexibility than you had in your 20s. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks for those poses, because I know that I have tight hips, but I can be really flexible, but I do have to do it every day, like you said. And those are some really, really good ones. And I would encourage anyone that if you haven't tried those kinds of things before, to do it. It feels so good. And yeah, you don't have that lower hip pain kind of thing down there. So go for it.
Tammy, I was wondering, how long should you hold each pose to get the best results?
So the time under passive tension holds, those specific ones, we're using gravity to kind of put you into a pose. So it's not a pose where you're pushing to do something. So those specific ones, the sweet spot is minimum of 2 minutes, maximum of 5 minutes. Anything past 5 minutes, you're not getting any scientifically proven flexibility gain. So you want to go somewhere in between the 2 and the 5. And I encourage you to use a timer and time yourself and try to beat your last time.
Excellent presentation, Tammy. I have one question. The one where you did the exercise, you put your foot on your knee and then squatted. What is that called?
So it's a version of pigeon pose. There's about 5 or 6 different versions of that, but it's a version of pigeon pose. Yeah. That gets right into the IT band as well. Beautiful, right into the glute muscle, under the glute muscle and the piriformis, which helps us with our lateral rotation of our hips, so the opening of your hips.
Yeah, really, really good. I like that one.
Yeah, feels amazing.
I have a question. I know for me, I'm not symmetrical. One side of my body is more flexible than the other side. How do you deal with that? Do you do the other side longer in poses, or how do you make progress to get? I'm assuming, and tell me if this is true, it's probably good to be more symmetrical.
It is, yeah, absolutely. But most people are a little asymmetrical. So you hit it right on the head there, Dana. If one side is tighter than the other, you want to definitely hold that pose a little longer. So if on one side you're holding for 2 minutes, the other side you want to hold it for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and do it that way to increase the flexibility in that tighter side.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Great question. Great question.
And so what I heard you saying too is that by strengthening these muscles, the 22 and all the different muscle groups, it actually can help preserve your hips and your knees.
Yes.
What you're saying?
So
that's great.
Absolutely, because your hip pain can radiate up into your lower back and give you lower back issues if the muscles involved in the hips are too tight, and they can also radiate down to your knees or your ankles because we're overcompensating in other areas if our hip muscles are not operating optimally. Mm-hmm. So another reason for hip health, to prioritize your hip health, absolutely.
Wow, thanks.
All right, thanks a lot, Tammy. We're going to move along here now, but appreciate your presentation and demonstrations, of course. And thanks everybody for lots of great questions.